Uh,
He's not dead yet.
He's in the process of becoming
dead.
You ever see that meme of like the star with the with the confetti that usually says like officer down or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know how some people like I don't know, just have the star peeking out from the bottom of the frame, not yet ready to celebrate.
Is that Hylas right now?
That's me and Hylas at the Lloyd situation right now.
So, okay. So the Ang and Ingrid and Lloyd section was that Ang convinced Lloyd to try and go into the forest in pursuit of eternal life. They were stopped on the edge of the forest by Ingrid, who wisely assumed that Ang was leading Lloyd to his death. She did not account for Ang having a 70-foot move speed that doesn't provoke, because who would?
Mhm.
She got.
Jesus
Uh,
Christ.
I imagine that was her reaction too. Yeah. So she's dead now, and then Lloyd was horrified and called Ang a monster and went for the gun, and then he got descended upon. There was a talk with Marshmallow and Abigail where he was like, hey, are you sure about this convent thing? Because, like, my fiance could really use the help of someone like you. And Abigail's like, what do you mean the help of someone like you? And Michonne's like, well, because she's trying to make a safe place for witches and undo the weirding. But, it's a big decision, so it's okay if you don't want to come. I mean, it's fine. But it would be really helpful if you came. But it's okay. Take your time. Make that decision. So there was that conversation. Kima tried to talk to Anissa about her being a witch, but he was really cool about it. In that he was like, hey, there's a safe space that my wife and I run. If you ever need a safe space, it's got people like you. And Anissa's like, what are you talking about? God did that. And he's like, are you fucking for real right now? And she's like, yeah, I am. God totally did that. And he's like, does God do that for other people? And she's like, I don't know. God does mysterious things, doesn't he? And Kima's like, you know what? Sure. Yeah, I guess he does. Anyway, this is a safe space if you want to stay there at any point. So that was that bit. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Then there was the cops talking to Willow. The head cop, whose name I cannot remember, but whose name may as well have... Marco?
DeMarco.
DeMarco. All right. Officer DeMarco came up. Captain. I'm not. No, fuck him. Officer DeMarco rolled up and was like, hey, what's going on in this here thread? And Willow's like, you guys aren't doing your fucking jobs, and also my friend is missing. If you're sending people down into that basement, you may want to warn them. And he's like, yeah, we got it from here. We'll find your friend, whatever. Can you come in and we'll take a statement? And she's like, no, the fuck, I will not come in. And he's like, well, I would really appreciate if you came in. You kind of have to come in because we've got it from now. Because, your frail woman hands wouldn't be able to handle this. And then Willow is like, who the fuck do you think you are talking to? Because I'm Willow Delany, and I am not going with you. And he was like, oh, forgive me, I was unfamiliar with your game. We still need somebody to come with us, though. And then Malik kind of sheepishly went along to give a statement. ACAB. I think that covers.
I like the egg.
Oh, just about covers
like
it.
It's an amen.
ACAB.
And also with you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
So yeah, that's a pretty comprehensive recap. If you didn't already have a villain point, you can have another villain.
Don't give her another
But I do have one. So I don't get to have another.
Wait, no, you can just have another. I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I put like a clause on it. That doesn't make any sense. You can just have one. Hold on. Let me get some
Get some tunes
music
going, Joe.
in here. Where is
The jaw harp.
track? It's not. It can't be jaw harp every time. Okay.
This one's good too, though.
So
I respect you trying, though. Never stop trying.
I'll play jaw harp for you during the solo, Charlie. If I figure out which one jaw harp is.
So the sun has just about crested over the horizon or sunk over the horizon. It is getting very dark. And right now, Ang D is with Lloyd at the edge of the woodline after having dealt with a pesky hunter who poked her nose where she shouldn't have poked it. I mean, we'll start right up with Ang D. Did you want to describe the form that you have taken? Did you already? I don't know if you did.
I did not. So the form that Angdi is wearing right now is kind of this like shambling heap of outstretched hands of different sizes. And that's kind of worn like a cloak over this just a hollow rib cage packed with brambles that are wrapped in around each other, and a powerful set of, satyr-like legs. She's huge. In combination with all of this, there is a long kind of noodly neck with the exact same head and face that you would find on her normal body. That remains unchanged. But the rest of the shape is extremely abnormal. And I will drop a image into...
Yeah.
Where do you want this? Characters?
Yeah, put it in characters.
Alright, give me a second. I'll grab it. This is a good track.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, here we go. I will censor for mild gore.
We love gore.
Sometimes.
Oh my god.
Oh,
that's
Jesus.
So cool.
Yes, Ang has expanded into a large-sized creature. A creature of hands. And bramble.
Don't let Willow see that. She has questions.
Where are all the hands coming from?
They're constantly there, and I just can't see them. Do you choose which hands stay?
Are you ambidextrous with all of them?
But she probably is.
I will roll a will save for Lloyd because he is going to be probably afraid. What is your class DC?
Class DC. Where the fuck is that on this sheet, boss?
Or not your class DC. What the fuck am I talking about? That's not how you do this. It's the fucking your intimidate DC. Or your intimidation DC, which for your form right now, let me look up. I need to look up some stats really quick, because I think the creature.
In case anyone cares, class DC is at the bottom of the proficiencies page.
Thank you, Cody.
You're welcome.
That is good to know.
This one has it's got to have intimidation, right? Plus 16. Okay. I'm gonna send this to you just in case you need it for reference.
Mm-hmm.
Here, hold this link. So he fails. He is stricken with fear, and for the duration of the time that you are in this form and he is within melee reach of you, he is his frightened condition cannot decrease. So you are towering over Lloyd, who has the gun. It's not loaded, but you have him grabbed, and he is just looking up at you and chattering, like his teeth, his jaw is just kind of twitching a little bit, like his teeth are chattering, and he is stricken speechless.
I think I want to try and I still have him grappled, right?
Yes.
I would like to try and make a strike first off. I mean, why not, right?
You
want me to roll a d20 in...
Yes.
Yeah.
You roll a d20 using the stats
the
of the
other
creature.
modifier. Yeah, cool.
Yes.
We're gonna go for...
Oh, make sure you do proficiency without level 2.
Oh, shit, sorry. Where's the switch for that? Proficiency without level, I see it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so that's -3.
26.
26. That is a crit. You crit him.
Oh god. Alright, Alright, so 2d... Jesus Christ, this is gonna hurt him. I don't know why I'm saying poor, like I have sympathy for him.
That's good damage. That's pretty good damage. What do you attack with?
That's with that is with the claw. Oh shit, I did that damage to myself, my bad. Anyway.
That's okay.
Yeah, so that's with the claw. And then I do get a free strike on top of that.
Roll again.
So plus 10. 20. That's not bad.
That is also a hit. If you feel like gambling, you could try to crit fish.
Oh, you mean like try to bump it or something?
Yeah, you could try to re-roll it with a villain point and try to crit fish, because you are very close to critting him on a 10.
Okay. You know what? They're villain points. I have to use them during my villain arc, right? Like, I might as well. Plus 13? No, it's plus 10. Oh my god.
That is a crit. That is, again, another crit. See what I tell you?
Alright. There's another... Wait, no. I got the numbers wrong. I got the numbers wrong. 2d10 plus
wrong
6.
Yep.
Do you want me to just roll the 2d10 then?
Yeah, re-roll the damage.
Numbers are hard. 14? Doubled to 28.
28. That, in 2 strikes, you got him to a third of his health.
Yep. That'll do it.
So describe to me the strikes that you do. Or rather, do you still have more? I'm assuming that
that was one strike. That was like one action.
I'm going to count it as we're in initiative, and because you grabbed him, you have taken
one action.
You are in first place. You are going first. You've taken one action. You have 2 left.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me see here. In terms of the strikes themselves, I imagine that she's got him from behind, held in all of the hands, right? And as he's starting to struggle and run away, or try to writhe away, the hands kind of dig in, and the ones that have claws will rake across his skin, and the ones that don't will just squeeze very intently. But I think that she's specifically digging in the claws when she has them around the joints, just to make it as uncomfortable and painful as possible.
As you dig your claws in and grab him with every set of hands you have, you're ripping parts of his clothing and tearing off his sleeves and pulling down his pulling apart his shirt and bloodying him gruesomely. You can see that as your different fingers and hands dig into his flesh, there are scars all over his body, decorating and covering his arms and parts of his chest, and even around his neck and collarbone area. You can see old surgical scars of just in a I can't even think of the word, almost like a quilt pattern where there's just patches of flesh that have been stitched up. It looks patchwork.
I think that as she is doing this, she's looking down at him as he's still, I imagine, kind of quivering in fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's just a laugh. Oh, darling, I think you're just starting to realize the trouble that you're in.
He is struggling to get out of your grip, but unable to. He's wounded and frightened, and he is looking over his shoulder let me go, and just jerking his arms, trying to get free.
Cover his mouth with a single fingertip on the lips. No, I don't think I will.
You have 2 more actions.
I do have 2 more actions. I shouldn't use them all to attack, but it's tempting. Let me see. I do have a spell here I can use. That would be great.
Okay.
I would like to use my confusion spell.
Okay. Sure.
That takes 2 actions.
Yep. So he has to make a will save, I think?
Yes. DC 18.
DC 18.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fail. And confusion, what does that do again? It makes him potentially waste his turn.
Off guard, don't treat anyone as your ally, can't delay, ready, or use actions. You use all your actions to strike or cast offensive cantrips. And your targets are determined randomly by the GM.
Okay. Confused for a minute, attempt a new save at the end of their turn. Okay, I'm going to take some creative liberties with it, and he is going to his eyes start, his pupils dilate. You can't actually see it, but his pupils dilate. He gets kind of even more scrambly and trying to wrestle himself free, even more doggedly than he was before, to the point where as he's jerking and trying to wrench his arms free, your nails dig deeper into the skin and yank it back, and just more blood comes out as he's ripping his own arm, trying to get it free, doing more damage to himself. And T is flailing, kind of just freaking out. He has lost his grip on reality. But it is his turn. Now let me see.
Quick question, Joe, which I have to ask you as a villain. Two questions, really. They're both about what constitutes a free action. One, is smelling his fear a free action?
Yes, you can smell his fear.
Can I lean down and just like lick some of the blood off his cheek? Just to fuck with him?
Yeah, I'll let you do that as a free action. It's horrifying enough. When you lick a little bit of the blood off of his face, he flinches away and still kind of feral. He's like unable to process what to do. He's lost control of his body and he has lost control of his mind, and he is utterly trapped. He's broken out into a really bad feverish sweat. So his like clothes are caked in blood and sweat. He is like panting and freaking out, like wildly whipping his head back and forth. I imagine several hands like grip his head and just try to like wrestle him into submission more. He is just gone completely insane for a few seconds here. He is going to try. He cannot cast spells, so he's going to try to strike 3 times. That is an 18 to hit. I don't know if that hits.
18 meets.
Meets. Okay. So he will deal a little bit of damage. He is quite strong. Like, despite everything, he is quite strong. So he like wrestles an arm free and will sling back a punch, a supernaturally strong punch. And as he hits you in the side or maybe like the rib cage area, he'll deal 12 points of damage.
Am I using my HP pool or the pool from the sheet?
The pool from the sheet.
That is good to know.
Yes.
Calculator
he's going to try strike again. That is a 17 to hit.
That is a failure.
That is a 17?
17 is a failure.
Oh, shit. Wait. I thought... Oh, wait. No, he rolled 18 first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I said 18 meets.
18 meets. So, right. 17. He rips, like, the same fist. He slings it back towards you, and he's having to swing behind him. So he's fighting his own shoulder anatomy to try and punch at you and grab at you. His strength is impressive. The muscles that you can see in his arm, they are like rigid and tight, very, very like densely packed muscle tissue. The holes in his arm that you have dug with your nails and scratches that you've made with your hands, you can see that the blood does not have a normal texture to it. It's slightly thinner, and it has like a little bit of like a clear fluid, like a thinner fluid underneath it. And as he is like struggling to try and hit you, he reels himself backward and tries to, like, against his own, like, outside of his own desire to really know what he's doing, he like rears back his arm and almost dislocates his shoulder, but by trying to like strike you so doggedly, and he fails yet again, and he's got one more strike, and then he can attempt to get himself unconfused, and that is also a failure. So he just continues flailing at you, trying to jerk his legs free. You, in the way that he is right now, in the way that his strength is being displayed, he is not a fighter. He does not know how to fight. You cannot surgically alter yourself to know how to fight. But he is very strong. You can get the impression that he is as much of an ambush predator, in a sense, as you are, or at least he was. He is not a holdout fighter. He just happens to be very strong, and if you're not expecting it, he can take advantage of that. But he's struggling and sweating and just like grunting and like trying to get free, but he can't, trying to hit you, but he can't. He uses his whole turn. He's going to roll a will save again to see if he can unconfuse himself. Nope. Definitely not. Can you re-fail a save? Does it get worse if you fail it? No, it doesn't get worse. You just fail.
It would be funny, though.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So he is still confused, just not really babbling incoherently, but just kind of making like noise. He's just making noise with out of whatever primal urge, grunting and hissing and trying to get free. But that's his turn. So now it's your turn again.
Joe, question.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to make a targeted strike to tear out his tongue, how would you adjudicate that?
Okay. I would... This is something that I've looked up because I really like targeted striking rules. I think they're cool. I will say if you want to do a targeted strike, you take a -4. But if you hit, you can have an auxiliary effect of whatever you like, whatever makes sense for the targeted strike.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try and tear out his tongue.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. D20 plus 10. You said it's -4, right?
Yes.
So
but
that
he
would
is
make it a
frightened
6.
and off guard.
Yeah, he's off guard. The grapple rules, since I do have him grappled, do those help me here?
What do you mean?
See. Is he grabbed or is he restrained?
He is grabbed, unless you want to try and restrain him by attempting another athletics check.
Athletics check against him. What is my athletics? Yeah, it's about the same as the attack. Would the athletics check trigger? Does it have the attack?
It does.
Oof. Oh man. Oh, Pathfinder 2e, the game of tactics.
Yep.
You know what? We're just gonna try and hit him.
Okay.
In the tongue.
Okay. Go for it.
A 23 hits, I think.
That'll hit.
All right. 2d10 plus 6. And then I get my free attack.
23, and he has a -3 to his AC because he's grappled and frightened. That would be another crit. Oh. No, wait. Oh, yeah, it is a crit. It is a crit because you crit on a 22.
This man is getting dusted.
He doesn't have high AC. He's literally just a stat ball of strength.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's 42 damage.
Okay. He is nearly dead. He is like, you rip out his tongue. Do you want to describe it or do you want me?
I think that because it's a crit, Joe, if you'll allow it.
Yep.
When she goes to take out his tongue, when she just has all of the hands focused in on his face and for a moment hold him and almost caress him before the thumbs dig in, spread his mouth open, force his jaw open, reach in and tear out the tongue, I think on top of that, she's going to smash some of the teeth.
Okay. You rip out the tongue. Despite his confused, addled brain, he is at least able to put together what you're doing. But it's not, he can't stop it. He sees what you're doing. He gets the idea of it too little too late. And he is restrained in such a way that he cannot help but suffer immensely through what is what is done to him. He like has this groaning, screaming like cry in pain as you rip the tongue and like take some teeth with it. You're clever enough to tip him forward a little bit so he doesn't drown in his own blood.
And he's very near death, right? Do I have like some sort of predatory sense for it?
Sub 10 HP.
Oof. Well, I haven't resolved my free attack, Joe.
I like full disclosure on a pure level, like a pure Pathfinder level respect. I thought that this would be a closer fight, but Lloyd is so under-equipped, he doesn't stand a fucking chance.
Would you like me to roll then? Or do you just want...
Yeah.
Okay.
You go ahead.
Okay, I got my... It's at my full base attack bonus, so...
Like I said, you crit on a 22. His AC is 12.
I think he's dead, Jim. But, if you will allow it, I don't want him to die right now.
Okay.
So, can I just take him, like, really brutally out of commission?
Describe to me out of commission.
I mean, let's see. Probably, she wants him a little aware, I think, so we're not going to go, like, super brain injury mode, which would usually be what you want, but probably, like, so weak from the blood loss that he can't do very much, but still alive. Just barely. You know? Hanging on by a thread, in that video gamey place where you can't take any actions, and you have entered bad end cutscene mode.
Okay, I know what you're going for. So let me posit this to you.
Okay.
You have the grapple advantage here. So taking advantage of that, he is reeling from the tongue thing, unable to communicate now, except in grunts of pain and discomfort. You hoist him up a little bit, and hands grip around his ankles and feet, and then around his wrists, and back to back, one after the other, there is the sound of several bundles of twigs and branches snapping and cracking and breaking as you twist each joint at his wrist and ankle all the way around. Like, tear the skin, tear the joint, it snaps all the way around and becomes completely unusable.
Yes. Good. I think she's going to set him down after she does this, while still holding on with some of the hands. And she's just looking down on him and just kind of laughing. Well, it turns out that you can't operate yourself out of cowardice. Ain't that something?
He's just on the ground, heaving, like there are tears in his eyes, there's sweat on his brow and blood all over him and on his mouth. Just
That's all you are, really. A coward. It's one of the reasons you disgust me so much.
He, like, tries to move. He tries to lift an arm and push off of a shattered wrist to sit up. And he can't get the strength to even prop onto his wrist. He tries and flumps down and just...
She'll slam the wrist back down with a fair bit of force, knowing exactly how much it hurts. And then I think two of the hands will then start carving up his forearm in a very similar manner to the way that he cut up Hylas. But because Dee Dee understands how to inflict pain and how to hurt people, but not necessarily the underlying principles therein. It's not as precisely placed a cut, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just painful. The edges of it are jagged, and it's just awful.
He, while sitting there incapable and immobile, all you hear are the frustrated, like, screaming grunts, followed by gouts of coughing. He's helpless and hopeless.
You can keep screaming if you want, darling. Nobody's gonna hear you.
You can see his eyes, like, dart over to where Ingrid lays in a heap of her own intestines.
Oh, don't look at her. She's as dead as a doornail. As dead as you're gonna be when I'm done with you.
His eyes go back to you. He tries to say something. He can't really make any words, but it's just
Oh, what was that, sweetheart? You're gonna have to speak up.
He spits up a whole bunch of blood as he, like, rolls back onto his stomach and starts coughing out more blood that's been trickling down his throat.
Once he tries to flip over, she'll flip him back over. And Joe, I will describe to you the process of what I would like to do to him.
Okay.
I would like to find a way to restrain him. And then, starting from the very, very edges and the extremities, he's going to be bound around the torso. This is important. She's going to cut off all of the extremities little bit by little bit, and then she's going to feed them to him.
Oh, God. Okay. There is rope and restraining tool, of rope, which is your restraining tool on Ingrid's body, which you can easily, quickly grab and restrain him, tie him to a tree, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And the process will take, I imagine, at least a couple minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how quickly or slowly you want to go.
Oh, she's taking it very slow.
Okay. We don't have to describe every last little bit of it, but the agony that you inflict on him is unparalleled. His entire world has collapsed into only a dimension of pain. He can't even, like, see. He has lost sensory input to the point where his only real way of understanding the world now is through different amounts of pain that he feels from you. Some pain is lesser than others, and he finds a disturbing amount of joy in those moments. There are several times where he passes out, and I imagine there's a little bit of waiting to wake him up or slapping him on the cheek to get him to come back.
Yeah, slapping him on the cheek or inflicting more pain if he does not wake up immediately. She does become conscious.
How long would you want this to take?
Multiple hours.
Okay. Then hours go by. He is helpless. And slowly but surely, you discover a point at which a living person no longer resembles a human. You have disassembled him. A creature himself who was carefully and painstakingly assembled out of the bodies of many weirdlings. And you have taken him apart. He is like of all of the creatures you have like undone in the world and in your long life, this one is like pretty close to the top. It's up there. If and only if it for the emotional satisfaction of it. The vengeful purity after hours go by of this agonizing process, he is barely clinging to life. The amount of blood he has lost is too much. He is going to die. What do you say to him, or what do you do in the last flicker of life that he has before he is completely gone?
I think she pats him on the cheek. You know, what's left of the cheek. And I think she looks at him. Now, there's just one thing I want you to understand. You were doomed the second that you decided it was a good idea to torment Kindred here. Do you remember when she came into your office and she said she had a particular disease? Do you remember that, Lloyd?
His head lolls. You're not sure if he's nodding yes or if his head is just lightweight from dizziness.
Oh, I'm sure you do. A smart man like you. You remember. Well, I happen to be that disease that's inhabiting her. And when she so stupidly offered her life in exchange for that man's, it gave me the opportunity to stretch my legs, and more importantly for you, it gave me the opportunity to embody that curse of yours. To end this pathetic existence that you've been living. Pretending you're not a monster. You're just as bad as I am. Always have been. But at least I, and she'll poke his nose, have the decency to know what I am. Even Kindred does, though she doesn't like to admit it. But there you are, cobbling together bits and bobs to try and make yourself a better man. You can't fix what you are. A coward. A pathetic little coward. But a pretty good meal, all things considered.
He stares at you with this half-lidded gaze, only barely able to stay awake and hear what you're saying. His mouth just hangs open now. There's more blood on him and on his clothes than there were the original colors of the clothing. And any and all exposed skin that he has is caked in blood. He looks up at you out of his ragged mouth, and he can't say the word, but he just mouths the word. Monster.
She laughs. You missed the point! I was telling you, I'm not ashamed of what I am. And then she's gonna tear his jaw off. And I think she's just gonna crunch into the rest of his skull.
You rend him perfectly. The amount of blood on the ground and in the area around the tree you have tied him to is unparalleled. There is so much blood. The ground has gone soft with blood. He, for all of his experiments and his own sort of evil in a way, he did manage to make himself quite durable. He was very strong and very durable. Surprisingly so, especially for a human. Humans are much more frail than he is. The average human is, at least. Which kind of made this more possible and kind of made this enjoyable.
We were meant to be.
So, yeah. Lloyd is dead.
I will eat what remains of him, but not the blood.
Holy shit.
Thank you, Zal. Thank you, Zal. I will eat what remains of him. And then with a knife that I assume I can find in Ingrid's things, the tree where he was tied up and a mess of blood, I would like to carve "Here lies Lloyd Valentine, coward," pointing down.
Okay. You carve it into the wood in such a way that when the wood finally heals and the color of the freshly cut skin of the tree fades, the scores that you have left in the tree will remain for the rest of the tree's natural life. It will forever mark that spot as a grave, beyond the point that Lloyd will have decayed and fallen off the tree.
Nice. Nice.
After all this, it is so close to midnight at this point. Roll me a d20. Just a flat d20. Okay. There is something that, in the back of your mind, you would know, but it wouldn't really matter to you. It's just something that you're passively aware of. The wind right now is blowing away from town and into the woods. And it is scooping up the scent of your own body and the scent of blood and probably Lloyd, and swooping it into the forest. Which, again, not really a concern for you. Just something that you're kind of aware of. The smell wafting into the woodland and possibly being found by any number of creatures and beings in there. Who knows? But we'll come back to that, because we got to catch up the rest of the crew. So, whoa, Jesus. Yes. So where we last left Willow and Vincent, the trail had gone cold, and it was about sunset, and you had gone out into the greater Tentland area, unsure of where to go next.
Sent Winter into the city.
You sent her to look for what again?
Just see if she could
Just
see anything poke around and find anything, any hints.
Gotcha. Okay. While she is doing that, you're with Vincent. The trail has gone cold. What would you like to do?
I think when she sees that he has lost the trail, and it's evening time, right?
Mm-hmm.
She knows that the boys were out searching all night. She was searching late, got up early. And the gun, at the very least, said that Aang was alive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it just kind of sigh and just give Vincent a little pat on the arm. I think we need to retire and regroup.
Vincent makes a bit of a face. He puts a hand on his hip and leans a little bit heavy on his cane. I hope that boy is all right in there. Talking to them fancy suited types.
No, he's the more polite of the two of you. I'm sure he's fine.
His eyebrows go up. Now hold on. I'm very polite.
You try to be charming. It does work most of the time, but I see the mischief. I have brothers.
He gives you a smile and will just kind of shrug and throw his hands up. You got me there. Come on, let's head back. I got a feeling she's all right. Wherever she is.
Bill just kind of frowns. Yes, so I'll still have to find her. Hopefully tomorrow.
Vincent rubs his chin. I still have to find our vampire friend, too.
Well,
Say.
at least you knew that the entire city's been searched. At least
You wouldn't happen to be able to get me and the big man into the upper city, would you?
Well, opens her mouth to respond, and then you see her grimace. Theoretically, yes. But yeah, that's going to be a whole play that we would have to put on.
Kind of raises an eyebrow. Is that a no?
We find Aang, and I'll get you there. Though you might need to help get me back out.
Well, could you get one of us in there to start looking up inside the upper city while one of us helps you all down here? We really gotta find this vampire.
Willer's kind of head goes side to side. Possibly. Let me think on what I can try to do over the night. I don't have the same connections that my brother does.
He nods. Whatever help you can offer is help that we would gladly accept. And we'd owe you one.
Willer just nods. Which is where the you get me back out of the upper city comes in.
You worried you won't be able to get out?
You clearly haven't mingled with the upper society very much.
He looks down at his outfit And he kind of gestures to it and just goes, I try to dress fancy, but nobody seems to believe me.
It's the mischief.
Guess it's... And maybe the size of my wallet.
You'd be surprised. If they think you're going to do something for them, it's actually relatively easy. But, no, my family's known for trade and, well, money, but, well, you've known me long enough to know that it's not something I care much for. Doesn't mean they won't try to talk me into talking my entire family into doing whatever they want. Every single one of them.
He purses his lips in thought. Okay. Why did you never get involved with your family business?
Emerson was always better at it. He had the mind for it. And, yeah, my mother... Let's just say she encouraged me and my sister to explore the parts of the world that women are not usually welcomed into. Trouble that she claimed was worth it, so long as we were still bettering Termark. My sister went into more of the adventuring life, exploring, going from city to city. I found alchemy and science. I imagine there's something in hunting that just sits right with you. But you can't imagine doing anything else. It's the same with me once I get behind a workbench.
He nods and kind of shrugs and tips his head back and forth a little bit and straightens his top hat, and he just goes, just a little bit of that. Also, I just had a strange life circumstance when I was younger. That kind of pushed me into this line of work.
And she nods. Yes. But would you be satisfied doing anything else now? Going off and being a farmer?
He takes a long inhale through the nose and exhales. Well, I think you got me there. Everything else just seems so... He twirls his hand around. Mundane.
And she nods. All of my siblings set out to try and do something that would help the city, help humanity, help ground us somehow after the world turned upside down. And each one of us found where we work. Thankfully, and thankful to our parents letting us do such a thing. But because our parents, or my parents, just made such a name for themselves in trade and in markets. And Emerson has done a Herculean task of keeping it running. Nobody outside of Termark really knows that Tristan or myself or Lorelei for anything but our last name and our trade. Maybe one day they'll know me for my inventions. But that is a long ways off.
Kind of furrows his brow. You think so?
She nods. The only ones that actually seem to take any interest in my inventions are you hunters. And though you are tolerated in other cities, she kind of smirks at that, you're also not an intercity organization. that, and most of you that travel that far out, she kind of like pokes his cheek a little bit, have your own weapons and abilities, and you don't need what I can offer.
He kind of flinches from the poke, but he smiles and he spins his cane with his offhand, just like as you're walking, casually twirling it between his fingers. And he will smile and say, I do have my natural talents, as does the big man. But there's no such thing as a good replacement for... And he reaches into his coat and pulls out his gun. Something reliable. And I've been told you make reliable things that are a bit unique. And he looks at your belt, where I imagine you still have your flame sprayer.
Mm-hmm. She kind of laughs a little bit and pats the flame sprayer. Yes, well, your friend Ingrid certainly kept me busy. I suppose if you want me to take a look at your guns or your ammunition, I can offer one or two things. I've managed to secure a workbench here at Mr. Tesla's lab.
He smiles, and he will flip the gun around so that he's holding the barrel, and he points the handle at you. Promise you'll give it back.
She'll take it and kind of examine it. She nods. If I didn't give this back, I'll certainly give something back you'll like.
He gives you one of those classic Vincent toothy grins. You are welcome to experiment on my equipment as much as you like. I trust you enough.
She will kind of bow her head a little bit. And I thank you for that trust. She kind of like, as she looks back up at him, she'll tilt her head. Does the sun truly bother you? She kind of gestures towards the glasses.
He tilts his head back and looks up towards the slowly turning nighttime sky. And he kind of seems a bit wistful for a moment. And he nods his head. Does make my skin tingle. It's easy to ignore that one. It's a bit harder to ignore my eyes. That bright big old ball of fire does make it a bit difficult to happily go about my day without these on. And he points to his sunglasses.
Enough.
But I suppose he thinks about it. He will reach up and take his sunglasses off and fold them and curl them around his collar. And you see Vincent's full face, which without the sunglasses, it's almost like a superhero taking off their mask. Like he looks completely different. He has very handsome, chiseled like jawbone and like cheeks. He has a very pronounced kind of Roman nose. His eyes are just blood red. The whites of his eyes are a tinge of pink. And with the way that his hair kind of cups around his face, it makes it look like he's almost in like a picture frame. And he looks at you, and you can see so much more emotion on his face now. His eyes are so animated with the way that, like, he just being able to see them gives you a whole new understanding of how he communicates with people. And he, like, pats his sunglasses. They work good enough. I don't really have anything better.
I'll see what I can do about that as well.
He takes him off his collar for a second, and you can see him hesitate.
She'll hold up a hand.
I would.
I don't need them. I'll just make a new
He nods.
pair.
Thank you. Be a touch difficult to get through the day without these.
And she nods. And she just kind of like taps her glasses. Trust me, I understand. And she'll just like shake her head and kind of look up, because the upper city is actually like on a hill, right?
Yeah, it is on a hill behind the lower city.
And she'll kind of like look up towards where she can see the buildings like peeking up over the top of the lower city's buildings. I thank you for being tolerant of what I revealed earlier. And I hope that you will remain tolerant with the interesting little group that has been amassed. And she kind of tilts her head a little bit. We may need help getting out of the city.
He smiles with his mouth closed, which, without showing his teeth, he would just look kind of like a bit of an unusual person with the red eyes and bleach white hair and pale skin. But when you cover up the fangs, he almost looks like a kind of ethereal, handsome, you don't know what, a little bit like Aang. He just has this sort of ethereal beauty to him when he doesn't show off his vampiric qualities as brazenly as he normally does. And he gives you like a pretty gentle smile and says, I appreciate your trust in me. I know with the way the church is, it's probably a gamble on who you tell, and I recognize that. Well, thank you. As far as me trusting you, though, and accepting you for who you are, well, I'm sure I don't have to tell you about how the church treats people like me. I know a thing or two about feeling like the outcast.
There's a kind of a tight smile, and Willow nods. Yes, it's not the easy thing in Tiamat, certainly. I just hope you don't come to regret this promise once you have to go deal with Moose again.
He inhales and closes his eyes, and there is like, you can see him thinking about it, and he's like, yep, I'm not looking forward to it. But he doesn't say anything. He just inhales and exhales and nods his head once. You need help getting out of the city? What for?
There's something about the city. I'm starting to feel a little less comfortable here. Between what happened to Aang and Hylas and the presence of Mr. Biggs, and general incapable nature of the judges. This is starting to feel like something of a rat trap. And I think one or several of us might be the mice.
He kind of, like, without openly laughing, he kind of gives you a chuckle out of that one. Well, I guess we better get out of the kitchen then. We'll get you out of here. Sooner rather than later.
She'll nod. We'll look towards him. I knew that you need to look for that vampire. She kind of frowns for a moment and hesitates. Do you know how to lay a trap for a vampire? Is that possible?
He gives you the trademark grin really wide this time. Oh, I know how to lay a trap for a vampire.
Not if I told you I know the perfect bait.
Oh? Who would that be?
I won't let her go in by herself, but a little bit of Abigail's blood would certainly draw him in.
He kind of tilts his head at that. What makes her blood so special?
That is not my secret to share.
I understand.
I trust that if you can lay a trap and she willingly gives a little bit to put in the center of that trap, that vampire will show up sooner or later.
He nods his head. And you can see him kind of looking out towards the upper part of the city. Hopefully he takes the bait, sooner rather than later. I hate this part of the hunt. It's so frustrating just having to wait and wander around aimlessly.
If he doesn't choose sooner, Madigan is turning up within a few days. She sent a message onward. And I assume she makes things a little bit easier.
He smiles again. Good. I can't wait to see my little fox girl.
She'll be more than pleased to see you. I imagine with more stories to tell than she'll know what to do with.
He nods, pretty, satisfied. Yeah, she's gonna have some shit.
Now, when we get back to the inn, I do insist that you and Malik take a few hours. I know the two of you don't need to rest, same as the rest of us, but I am paying for your room after all. Might as well use it.
He nods and tips his hat. Thank you, ma'am. I will take you up on that offer. As much of my blood that is a creature of the night, I still need my beauty sleep.
There's kind of a snort. Of course the vampire says that.
He smiles again, and he doesn't reply. Kind of a natural end to the conversation as you guys continue walking back to the inn. And you are free to walk in companionable silence or ask him more about his physiology, which he will happily answer.
Some about the physiology, some about hunting techniques and different things along those lines, I imagine.
Mm-hmm. I would say, with the amount of shit that you've asked specifically him, you can add to your sheet lore vampire.
Hey. Y'all were teasing me about my lores. This is how I get my lores.
But you walk back to the inn where the rest of the crew is at, reconnecting with them. It takes you probably about almost an hour, just barely shy of an hour, so it's about 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30 by the time you get there. As you walk into the Knight's Inn, what would everyone be doing? We have Michonne, Anissa, Hylas.
I want to rewind to the gun, to Gunter and Hylas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, bummer about me not being around last session. I don't get to hear your Hylas impression, Joe.
It was good. It was very good.
Thank you.
I'll have to go fish it up.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, as of last session, was Hylas just kind of out cold?
He was resting, like, kind of pushed into bed by Abigail and said, like, just sleep. Like, sleep, you are exhausted and you have been wounded and healed, and that can fix your body, but it cannot fix your tired mind. So, go to sleep.
She's so right.
Okay. But you can have been rested enough and then woken up whenever you're ready. I imagine you probably would wake up now because you kind of got pushed into bed around like 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the three of you and technically Paige and Pierre.
I think when Hylas wakes up, he's not going to want to be too far from Abigail. So he'd probably go find her again and just sort of chill.
Okay. Abigail would be in her and Willow's room, just hanging out. She has kind of dressed down for the evening, like taken off her, like, the vest and removed her hat and just kind of let her hair fall over her and is much more relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to Grampy. He's sad.
Where is he? Where's my old man?
He is, I think he was laid down next to the bed with you. I'm not sure. I think that's where he should be.
Yeah, because Mitchell brought him back, and that's probably where he ended up. So you have him.
Okay. So, like, Hylas wakes up and the boastful hunter is, like, in the room now.
Yes. He's, like, laid down beside the bed.
Okay. So, Scratch going to find Abigail? I think Hylas is gonna have a little moment with the boastful hunter before he leaves to go find her.
Okay. Yeah, you wake up, and as you kind of right yourself and orient to the room, you see the boastful hunter propped up basically by the nightstand.
I think there's a moment where he's, getting into the sitting upright on the bed position. He's still a little bit dazed, waking up, and he lays his eyes on the gun, and there's just this blank, almost somber expression. I think there's just kind of silence filling the room for a bit as, Hylas is not making a move for a few seconds. Like, he's shocked to see the hunter here and hesitant to reach out to him. But, maybe a minute that... Oh, Jarb. Jarb, jump scare.
Sorry.
A minute passes that feels like eternity. Before he gets to his feet, walks over, and stands before the hunter, slowly reaching out his hand, and not quite grabbing him, but just gently placing his fingertips, like on the barrel of the gun.
what you would have, in some way, I imagine you would have expected him to like come roaring into your mind and asking and demanding information, like, where have you been? Like, there is instead a very soft, very gentle, like, presence that establishes itself in your mind. In the same way that someone, when, like, imagine you walk into a room and someone is sitting at the table and they see you walk in and they stand up slowly to greet you. You have that same sort of presence as you touch your fingers to the boastful hunter.
I think there is the slightest jump in just his shoulders from that expected, like, I know as soon as I touch the gun I'm going to get yelled at, but the jump now kind of comes into the sense that he's a little shocked nothing happened. And I guess in a manner where this form of communication can sort of be conveyed like physical actions without saying, without actually having physical actions, Hylas kind of wraps his hand around the gun, actually picking it up, grabbing it, as if he's taking a seat at this proverbial table.
When you fully, like, pick up the boastful hunter, you get the sort of presence in your mind shifting awkwardly for a second, and then finally you hear the voice. Where have you been? Do you know how long I've been without you? I was hung up on a wall and I saw you run away and I was left behind.
His voice comes out just like an exhausted creaking. And he just goes, where have I been? And he purses his lips, putting himself back in the basement for a moment. He goes, well, you saw the whole thing? Most of it, I guess. The rest of it,
I did.
And he kind of like looks back to the bed that he just woke up from. I was saving my own skin.
I don't know if you know or not, but that woman you were with, she lives.
There is a subtle flex in Hylas's hands, holding the gun. When he hears that,
They don't know where she went, but she's alive.
oh, he hears that and just lets out such a relieved sigh. And then he says, and Lloyd?
I don't know where he went. That boy, he is troubled. So troubled. I don't want to tell you what happened. Not yet.
Hylas kind of shoots him a look. And he says, well, Guess I'm not really itching to know either. He kind of like reaches one of his hands down and like puts his hand over one of the areas he was stabbed by Lloyd, which must have been like healed by now because of
oh yeah,
Abby's blood. Yeah,
Abby and also Anissa.
Anissa. Yeah, power of God. Yeah, I think Hylas like reaches his hand to one of the areas he was stabbed, and it just kind of has a moment of like, oh, it's gone. Wild, I almost died. It's kind of clear, like he's still waking up, he's still thinking like, I just got out of that. Wow. And he looks back to the hunter and says, and how do you get here?
Willow took me. She found me hung up on the wall in that boy's basement. Well,
so
Willow took me and then she handed me off to that short, fancy-looking boy. I don't know his name.
Short, fancy-looking. Hylas like looks up to the ceiling like he's trying to visualize it. And he kind of like gestures with his hand like, oh, the one with the, like he's trying to motion for like top hat. Vincent has a top hat, right?
Yes.
One with the hat?
No, this one had pretty boy hair.
He says that with disdain.
Mitchell. I see. I think he walks back over to the That's true. Hylas does think Michonne's hair is pretty. He walks back over to the bed with the gun in his lap, just sort of decompressing, processing.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sort of like stares ahead. After a bit of silence, he says, "So, what? No earful."
I should give you an earful. Irresponsible behavior. You got yourself kidnapped. And when you woke up, you freed yourself and you didn't even have the decency to go for me. I was worried when you left. Didn't know if you'd come back.
He hears that and just makes sort of a helpless sort of face, a lost face. He goes, "You worried?"
Well, not that worried. Just a little worried.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was.
But it's good you're back now, and I'm where I should be.
there's sort of a troubled glance that he gives the hunter, and then back to the far side of the room. And he kind of like shifts his eyes, like he wants to say something, and he almost can't bring himself to. There's like a tap of his fingers on the gun. There's a nervous energy that I think the hunter would be able to pick up on, you know, being familiar with Hylas's body language.
What is this? What is this tapping? Why are you tapping your fingers? Out with it. Speak your mind. Surely I've taught you better than this.
He frowns. It's just that during that first fight, before Lloyd knocked me out, maybe I should have shot him. But all I could do was keep using you to smack him. Maybe I should have, but maybe I should have shot, but I didn't want to.
Boastful Hunter, you can't. There's not like lungs to hear the Boastful Hunter, right? You can't hear him inhale and exhale, but you get the impression that he's like inhaling to start a thought and then exhaling, and then inhaling to start a thought and then exhaling. And he finally, after a beat or two of silence, he says, "I think you should have shot him, but maybe that would have been a bad call. Hard to say. Why didn't you want to shoot him?"
Hylas freezes, and he just sort of stammers out, I don't.
You don't hunt men?
I don't.
Is it big?
He can continue. Hylas is just kind of stammering that he doesn't know.
Is it because I only favor beasts? Would it make you feel better if I favored the hunting of men?
That's... What? No.
So, what do you want from me?
He shakes his head and winces and says, "I'm not sure I like hunting."
There's like a jaw drop feeling.
I think there's a dropping feeling deep inside of Hylas as he brings that thought to the surface.
You don't like hunting? Anything?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe not just for hunting's sake. It's useful for getting out of scrapes, but...
Well, useful for getting out of scrapes isn't a hunt, now is it? That's self-defense. Which I can do, but I'm better at hunting. It makes no difference. I will simply teach you to like the hunt. I can do this.
I think there's sort of a relaxing in Hylas' shoulders hearing this. You can?
Well, yes. I am the greatest hunter who ever existed. I could certainly teach you how to hunt for real. I could show you how to love it. The thrill of it. The satisfaction you get when you catch your quarry.
There's just sort of a blank expression as a wire connects somewhere behind his eyes. And Hylas tilts his head and goes, "Did you exist?"
Well, I exist right now. What do you call this? Wait, do you mean to ask if I was a man?
Hylas blinks and slowly lifts up the gun, looking it over. And he asks a question that he has never asked in his entire time with the Boastful Hunter. And he goes, "What are you?"
I am... well, the greatest hunter to ever exist. I'm a wood-crafted Giselle. Ooh. Well, if you're looking for something like a name, I suppose you could call me Theodore.
This is Zell about to say this. What the fuck? Okay,
What?
back to
What?
Hylas.
His name's Theodore. What do you want?
I mean, okay. Sorry, I'm in it. Somebody get the dates on that guy.
I would fucking die.
He squints and goes, "Theodore."
Yes, Theodore. That satisfy you?
he narrows his eyes, saying it repeatedly, like he's trying to remember it.
Don't wear my name out. And don't go spreading it around to all your friends. I like to keep myself private. I admire my privacy.
I can get that. All this time and I never knew your name. So, were you?
Was I what?
He's like in his brain, like thinking between like finishing that sentence with, were you human? Were you always a gun? And I think what comes out is, were you something else?
It's a long pause. And he replies,
I don't know. It's hard to say. I have memories from long ago. They get fuzzy.
Hylas's eyes widen a bit, and his grip somewhat tightens as he says, you don't remember either.
Can't say that I do.
And I think with that, Hylas kind of holds the gun closer, finding a comfort in this interaction.
So would you? Let me refresh your memory. Would you like to hunt men as well as beasts? I can hunt men plenty well. They are a form of game.
Big choice here. Ooh, what do I say? I think Hylas frowns and shakes his head, but he says, I don't know. What I do know is it wouldn't feel right if that one man kept getting away with whatever he's getting away with. Lloyd.
Not the next time we see that boy. Put one right between his eyes.
and as he says that, the gun like jostles a little bit, as if it's trying to aim itself.
I think Hylas just nods slowly. All right. I'm getting up. he stands up and I guess starts readying himself for emerging from the room.
Okay, you step outside. Are Anissa and Michonne nearby? Maybe?
Probably. I think Anissa would have been sticking pretty close unless Michonne had other ideas.
Oh shit, they haven't met. What about Mitchell? Is Mitchell there?
I was double muted. It's only 8 game, right?
Yeah, it's about 8:30. 8:30. Or 8, like a little bit before Willow gets there.
I think, in all honesty, Mitchell might have been posted outside, maybe nodding off.
Okay. Well, the door opens and Hylas would emerge. Boastful Gunter and all. Well, mostly all. There's no coat.
No hat.
No hat. No, the hat's there, right?
He's got
Mitchell brought the hat.
We did recover the hat.
Hat recovered.
The coat was not recovered, but the hat you have.
My money!
Look, your coat is in the woods right now. It's covered. You're never getting those stains out.
Oh, I need a new coat.
your pocket nuts.
My pocket nuts!
I should have had her eat the pocket nuts.
My raw carrots! Damn it all! Oh, well.
Oh, they're
I'll get
crying
over it.
like, well, we can't buy you a coat store.
So Hylas opens the door and Michonne is like right outside nodding off.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a moment where he walks out, he notices this, and he goes, and he looks back in the room. He looks back at Michonne and he says, bed's free.
It takes Michonne a moment. He blinks, and then he breaks out into a grin. Welcome back. You had everyone worried.
I think being around this person he doesn't know very well. Hylas hears that and kind of like glances off for a moment, then back and goes, oh, well, it was no big deal.
I mean, you look fine now, but is Anissa nearby?
What was that?
Is Anissa nearby?
Oh, is Anissa nearby?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I assume she would have been sticking with Michonne, since that's really the only person she kind of knows or has met that's nearby. Or well, I guess Paige and Pierre, you said, are they're here, right?
Yes, but I had an idea for them. Paige and Pierre are going to perform on the first floor, and they're going to do a show. like, for the people in the Knight's Inn. So they went downstairs to perform.
The other thing to consider for Anissa is that Abby joined the convent, so she would have that connection.
And Michonne is also a man of faith. Faith bonding.
Yeah, Michonne's also Catholic.
He's not that Catholic.
Hylas is susceptible to becoming Catholic.
If we get the Filipino
Well, have you heard the good word?
Willow's
Oh
gonna
my
fucking
God.
lose her mind.
Hold on, I got music for this. Wait. Fuck, where is it?
Gotta be faster on the soundboard, Joe.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Jaw Harp.
Tunes.
Everybody starts converting, Willow's just gonna fucking strike out on her, and she can't be around that. She gets enough of that from her brother.
Anissa, hand me the aux. Anissa, are you gonna play choir music? Maybe.
Corian
If he
chanting.
commands it.
Correct.
I cannot wait for when Anissa and Egg meet. They're gonna be such good friends. Once the murders are settled.
We'll settle
That's a big
'em.
once.
Hylas, Anissa, Michonne.
I think after Hyla says it was no big deal, Michonne cocks a brow and shakes his head. Well, Abigail and Vanessa here got a pretty good look at you, and you were in bad shape.
Oh. Really? I didn't notice. He is not looking at you. Where is she? Abigail.
Michonne will look down the hall to, I think it was Willow's room Joe mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. She resting? She alright? He kind of like looks past you to look at the door.
Michonne will stand from his seat and put a hand on Hylas' shoulder. Been a long day. Like I said, you had everyone worried. And she stayed right by your side for a while after you fell asleep.
Huh. And he sort of like slowly brings his gaze over to you as he just sheepishly goes, weird. Where's Zhang?
Hopefully with Willow.
He nods. So we're just waiting on them to get back then.
Michonne will nod. Hylas, it's... What I mean to say earlier, that Anissa and Abby got a pretty good look at you. They were the ones who helped, so...
He nods. And, he looks over to Anissa, who is here, right?
Yeah, she's just chilling. Probably humming some Gregorian chants.
This is her. This is her that we're hearing right now.
Correct.
He gives kind of like a bright smile towards Anissa and says, well, thanks for that, ma'am.
Please, it is not I you should be thanking.
Yeah, I'll be sure to thank Abigail when she comes out of her room, too.
Her face goes flat, but she doesn't say anything.
Hylas smiles. He sort of like straightens out his clothing, his like loungewear, if you can call it that. I guess you can call it that. And he just kind of says, mostly to himself, but you know, you all can hear it. He says, it's like nothing ever happened. I think in this idle moment, he is going to also lean on the wall, not too far from Michonne, so they do kind of look like they're just chilling, but at least like keeping that 5 feet apart.
The height difference goes crazy right now.
Oh, yeah. Michonne's like 5'8", is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And just to kind of recap, I guess, were we supposed to wait here for Willow to return? Is that what we were?
I think so. Which Willow would return basically right about now. Sorry, I'm snacking.
You're good.
So Willow walks in, and the bar is pretty lively for what you would have expected, Willow. Because when you walk in, you see that. Oh, hold on. We need fucking
Tavern music.
Tavern music, man.
Crowd noises.
This is close enough. But as you walk in, Paige and Pierre have kicked off a show, and they're in the middle of doing a extravagant or elaborate card trick where Paige like riffles a deck of cards in the air and makes them appear in different locations. It's not clear where the sleight of hand comes in and where the actual magic comes in. She blends them very well. But she and Pierre are just off to the races, having a good time of their performance, and kind of able to cut loose a little bit. And the bar is loving it. It's drawn quite a bit of a crowd. And heading upstairs to see where everyone else is, you could see the whole crew posted up outside.
Well, we'll just give Vincent's arm one final pat, wish him a good night, and also kind of shoo him in the direction of the stairs to make sure that he does go upstairs and go to bed. And then we'll order a drink, get the drink, and start heading upstairs. And you see her come around the corner into the hallway, knocking back a glass of wine, looking kind of tired and slightly frazzled, all things considered.
Poor Willow.
She's been running all over this damn city. I think she has done the most circuits of this fucking city out of everybody at this point.
And she hasn't even found out about Ingrid yet. Oh.
She comes forward. I imagine that as she is approaching, there are open mouths of, like, starting to talk, just, like, holds up a finger, finishes her wine, points to the room. Not in the hallway.
Hylas gives a thumbs up and scampers. Towards the room.
Are you going into the boys' room?
Sorry, what'd you say, Cody?
I said, was that a scamper sound effect I heard?
Hitting the microphone.
Oh, I didn't hear it, but thank you.
She'll, I think, point towards Hylas's room. And then, like, see that Abigail is not there, and will peek into her room and see Abigail asleep on her mattress. And just, like, weighs the pros and cons.
Abigail also is, like, hardcore passed out. She is not like the typical ingenue sleeps very beautifully. She's, like, sprawled over with her tongue hanging out, and she's got a book half open.
Hell yeah.
Okay, she needs sleep. We'll explain it to her whenever she wakes up. Just close the door again, follow after everybody into the boys' room. Close the door, make sure it is closed, and sit down. Closest piece of furniture that you can find. And there's just that, like, you know, when somebody, like, finally sits down after being on their feet all day long, that, like, that particular, like, sigh, that's what comes out of Willow.
I'm so glad she's finally sitting. Oh my god.
And she just kind of looks over everybody, and then there's a little shake of the head. We followed the trail as far as we could, go up to the Chin City, and, well, lost it from there. I have Winter looking, but I don't know if she's going to find anything either.
Hylas politely has his hands, like, folded on his knees as he's, like, sitting on another piece of furniture. And, he looks around and says, where's I?
Willow just blinks at him. Oh, that's what I was just telling you.
Hang on, I need to turn you up.
Sorry, I also was leaning further back. I was taking on the willow posture in my own chair. She's like,
I feel it.
She just said we followed the trail to the Tid City and lost it there, and that Winter's looking.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'll change Hylas's question, which is, looking for what?
Angarod.
Oh. There's something noticeably nervous about his body language now. She's not. You lost her?
Willow just nods. And we managed to find a vial of her blood, and she will pull out the 2 jars she has tucked away in her messenger bag. Vincent tried to follow it as far as he could, but vampires, for all of their strengths, tracking is not necessarily one of them. Malik got waylaid by the judges.
Hylas looks at the jars. How big are they and how full are they?
The jars of blood?
Yeah.
They're mason jars. So they're pretty sizable. Medium large. And they're full, like, if the very top of the jar is the 100% mark, then they're at like 70%.
Okay, so like the area where you would like put the lid on, I'm assuming, doesn't have.
Correct, yeah.
Blood.
There's no blood there.
I visualized it perfectly.
Good work.
Hylas sort of makes the slightest grimace and he says, "That's hers."
Willow taps one jar. This one, no. I'm assuming it's hers from the description Vincent gave of it. Sounds like something that would be attached to a fey adjacent creature.
He's nodding. He does glance off to the other jar.
Willow just kind of, you see her kind of sit up and twist and stretch, and you kind of hear the pops and the cracks a little bit, which is something that she does not do very often. That is a little too improper in front of people. But as she does so, she kind of looks over each person individually for a moment. As much as we would have liked to continue looking. Vincent and Malik are in desperate need of sleep, especially considering the fact that there's still a vampire somewhere in the city.
Hylas brings a hand to the side of his head, gripping his hair. It's like kind of a half face palm, just like on the side of his head, as he goes, "Oh, we didn't find the vampire."
We didn't find the vampire, we've lost the serial killer, and we've lost an Angarod, which, well, she's getting a little peckish, I imagine.
John will cross his arms and then uncross them and lean forward.
Hylas. Oh yeah, sorry. You go on.
How do I put this? What if she just ran away?
Frowns, and then there's a slow nod. There's a possibility she did flee into the woods. Would be more appealing to her than being in the city, I imagine. Especially after everything that happened, but I highly doubt she would do that without at least leaving a note or a message here. Not when there's the chance that Madigan would be on the way. And she'd still want to double check on Abigail.
So you're saying she might be lost and hungry? And Hylas says this with just an innocent wince.
Well, it just kind of... her head goes side to side. It's a possibility. The hunter, and she'll point towards the gun. He'd say that she was up and moving, and from what I understand, moving relatively well, thanks to her healing factor. So, at least she's not injured anymore, not as severely injured. But from what I've seen of vampires, usually, if they're hurt, they need food to heal fully. She does have that tendency in her, even if she's not actually a vampire.
Hylas tilts his head and says, everybody's gotta eat, right?
Yeah, it's a little different when you're somebody that can only eat people or magic.
What? He blinks.
Jula just kind of like gives him like this deadpan look. Like, you've been around camp long enough. You know this.
I don't think he did.
I'm thinking back, and I think the only person that Hylas has that Aang has eaten in front of Hylas has been Dee Dee.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't think she's eaten a person in front of Hylas.
There was one instance where Willow made a tree for Aang because Aang was feeling hungry, and then she ate it and didn't feel any different.
But they always go out to do that separately.
Eat something in the tunnels.
Yeah, she did try to eat. Right, she was going to eat one of the bodies, but it was disease-ridden, and so she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, eating Dee Dee doesn't seem like a survival thing. Dee Dee bit first.
Yeah.
Into Pierre.
Dee Dee bit first. Just turn around at that point.
So, yeah, I don't think it's entirely unbelievable that Hylas would not have put that together, although it's very funny.
He wouldn't have thought too hard about it, and he certainly wouldn't have come to the conclusion that her diet is people and magic.
Yeah, so Willow just like gives him that deadpan look. It's like she would have figured puzzle pieces would have snapped together.
And he like locks eyes with Willow, and then kind of shakes his head like he has accepted this information, and he goes, "Girl's still gotta eat, right?" Is she gonna be okay?
The concern is just how hungry she is before she decides she has to eat. She feels like she has no choice but to eat whatever's closest. She's absolutely starved and she's in the city, then that's a problem. If she can wait until she's out in the woods and happens to come across something that she can track, then, well, that's less of a problem.
How would we say Hylas reasonably feels right now, Joe? Like, have I rested off the exhaustion?
I think so. Between the healing and then like actually sleeping sleeping to the point where you wake up naturally. Even though it's only 3 hours worth of sleep, I think Hylas would probably be way more his old self.
Okay. He kind of like looks around the room, looks at Willow, and goes, "Well, y'all seem beat, and I just rested, so I could take a look."
There's just a faint smile and then a slow shake of the head. As much as I think we'd appreciate it, I don't think us all venturing out into the woods, or even near to the woods one by one, is particularly wise. Especially not since we don't know where Lloyd is either.
He opens his mouth like he has half a mind to protest, but nothing comes out. Solid point.
I think all of us need a rest. And she'll kind of look towards Michonne and look towards Anissa. And I knew that Vincent and Malik need it as well. And we'll start again in the morning. And even if you feel better, and you were healed, those were still some serious wounds, and a rather unpleasant place to get them in.
He looks off to the side. It's fine.
Physically, perhaps. From what I understand from those that found you, or at least helped you once you escaped, and what little bit that you could say when you came across you were not so steady at the time.
He scratches the back of his head, awkwardly.
It's not something to be ashamed of.
I think he puts his hand down and just sort of like looks over at you. And I think a moment passes as he's trying to figure out like what to even say in this situation. And maybe this is the first time that Hylas has even really given Willow a good look. And I think he just says, thanks for coming for us. Having our backs.
Well, they're not. Well, you've put in a decent amount of work in helping us through the woods. And from what I understand, you're still under the employ of Paige. And there's a little smirk. And Abigail has grown fond of you.
I think he can't help but give a little smile. Like, return a little smile. Yeah, I guess you're stuck with me.
And she nods. Yes, especially considering the fact that, she kind of glances towards the gun on his back. I have a few words to have with, the hunter, when we all find our anchor out again. I have some ideas.
He wasn't too rude with you, now was he?
He was actually quite a gentleman.
What?
Yes, I'm not exactly sure what Paige has against him. He was rather pleasant, all things considered.
Was he?
Was he not?
Hylas glances between Willow and the gun.
And she'll kind of settle into the chair a little bit more and look towards Anissa and then look towards Michonne. And then, well, is Hylas standing or is Hylas sitting?
Sitting.
And she'll tilt her head. And you see her reach for the other jar, not the one she motioned towards being Angrad's blood, but the other one. I do have some perhaps uncomfortable questions for you, though.
Hello.
He frowns.
Oh,
How uncomfortable.
Well, an entrance of a Jedi and an exit of a Jedi.
Poor guy. Oh, buddy.
She tilts her head one way and the other. It depends on how uncomfortable questions I tended to ask the Madigan and Angerad have been to you.
He tilts his head, lost.
You don't remember where you came from, correct?
No.
Just
not
the deal with Mr. Biggs, nothing else?
Oh. Well, sure, there's some stuff before that. I mean, it's pretty recent.
What do you remember from before that?
He starts, he starts rubbing his arm, and, he just goes immediately, oh, you're right.
nods her head. Have you noticed anything else that might seem a little strange beyond just your trouble with memory?
Strange?
She nods.
I mean, I guess most things are kind of strange.
She will kind of purse her lips a little bit. Be very clear of, like, that's not what I was looking for, but okay. Perhaps. You see her look down at the jar in her hands as she kind of turns it. And he's still got the shirt on that he had on, right? Or has he changed shirts?
I think he has changed shirts since then.
Where is his ratty old one?
The other one?
Yeah.
We're in his room, right?
Yeah.
It's probably like over the back of a chair or something. Like, you know, he didn't put it away or anything.
She'll stand up and walk over and pick up the shirt. And it had the red paint on it, right?
It does. It does have the red paint. From the stab wounds.
He keeps
Go ahead.
looking between Willow and the jar of paint.
Yeah, we've fought enough things to know what blood looks like, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Generally speaking.
And she'll turn towards him and hold out the sleeve that would have the most red paint on it. Does that look like blood?
He tilts his head, looking it over. And he kind of like slowly looks back up at Willow and says, "It doesn't not look like blood."
There's a squint.
He notices the squint and he also squints back.
Not just paint, Alice. Blood darkens, seeps into the fabric. This... and she'll crack a section of paint.
He looks a little bit lost in his expression.
She'll hand him the shirt. She'll go back to the jar. She'll point to the one that has Aang's blood in it. When Vincent and why did I just immediately forget his name? Malik.
Malik? Yep.
When Vincent and Malik went into the basement trying to find any clues for Angrod, there were only 2 jars that were in there that had liquid in them. All the rest of the jars we assume had blood in them had dried up. Which means that the most recent 2 people, that's the blood from them. That's Angron's. She taps the top of the jar. She'll pick up the other one. Which means that either this is yours, there's a secret third person in that basement that you and the hunter seem to miss. And she'll walk over to him, and not like standing directly in front of him, but like kind of off to the side. She will open the jar and just kind of like tilt it towards him so that he can see inside better.
Hylas is looking at the jar, and he sort of tilts his head and says, "Unless Lloyd had other hobbies."
Yeah. I certainly hope he wasn't trying to be a painter. I didn't see any paintings. And why would he put paint on you? Especially paint that we don't see any remnants of except on the sections of your shirt where you were injured.
I think there's a furrow of his brows. And just the slightest little shake of his head as he says, I don't get. I don't know what you're getting at.
We'll close the jar, set it down, just kind of like not. Is he like sitting on the bed?
Yeah.
She will kind of sit on like the tail end of the bed, like the footboard of it. So she's like not like hovering over him, but she's able to kind of like turn towards him just a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but well, in any case like this with just these clues, it suggests that you're not quite human. I don't know what you are. Some form of weirdling.
I think he stands up and he shakes his head and says, no, I'm and you can tell that the end of that sentence is, I'm human. He wants to make that assertion, but he sees who he's talking to.
Mm-hmm. Nilla just like tilts her head a little bit, lets him kind of stutter through it for a second. It's not like it's a bad thing, but it is something to, know about yourself. And for us to know about you. And potentially if you want to know where you came from and figure out why you don't remember anything.
Hylas has a little twinge of fear in his eyes, I think. As his gaze sets once again on the jar of paint. DM, in this lapse of, I guess, mental fortitude, would I be allowed to, like, roll to remember something?
Sure. If you'd like. It's going to be a will save or a lore check of your choice.
I think will probably makes more sense.
Okay.
I would almost see this as yeah. I would almost see this as an equal fight between him wanting to remember something and not wanting to remember something.
Uh-huh. Do you want to use a hero point?
I think I'm gonna use a hero point.
Let's
Those have just
go.
kind of been sitting around, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I missed last session. I want to do something.
You did.
Better.
There you go. That is a success. A standard success. What memory do you want to dredge up?
I think in his mind, he's afraid of Willow's insinuation. So he's looking at the paint and he's thinking to himself, no, that's not right. That's not right. I remember things before Biggs. I remember things before I met the boastful hunter. I remember something before that. Something about where I was before that.
So, what is it like when this memory comes to you in this moment? Are you like full body rocked by it? Or is it kind of like an, oh yeah, like a very subtle shift?
It's a memory. So it's a flash of something that had been obscured for a long time. Something he'd never, cared to dredge up before. So I think it is a bit like oh yeah, it's quick, but whatever it is accompanied with probably a sinking sensation in his core. Maybe he stood up from the bed. Maybe he takes a couple of steps back involuntarily. It's more like an intrusive thought, you know? It's sudden, it's uncomfortable.
Is there typing happening? Is that why it's quiet?
Not that I can see.
Okay. It's like
there might be furious scrolling on the DM's part.
No, sorry. I had to step away for a second to run upstairs, and I had to sprint to get downstairs. Sorry.
About to say, did I fuck up? Did I blow up a spot that I was not supposed to right now?
No. There is a bit of furious scrolling. I was gonna say it could be your choice of memory, Hylas, if you want, or do you want me to pick something?
I was hoping you'd pick something. I don't know, maybe lend to the he doesn't know what he's getting.
How far back can I go?
Can you go? As far back as you would like, my friend.
Okay. So
this is going to be confusing, whatever it is.
Hylas, you have a memory come to you. It is very subtle at first, and it is a very quiet memory, which kind of lends itself to the way it kind of like hits you. It is a very quiet memory, and you remember being on the floor, like on your back, kind of propping yourself up with your hands, with your knees kind of bent, and you looked down at your outfit, which you were already wearing, the full outfit you have on. And you kind of marvel at it, like seeing it for the first time. And you have this moment of confusion and wonder. And there's no anxiety. There's no like negative like dread or fear or confusion. It's just kind of curiosity. It's kind of unbridled, like positive unknowingness. And you look up and see around you a small, wooden, humble home. There's a door behind you that opens out into another area, but the room you're in looks to be like I don't know how to describe it, not a studio. There's a window, there are easels, there are canvas like boards, and it seems to be like a sort of creative room, a painter's room. And you're staring up at a painting that seems to be finished. You think, but you can't quite place it. And it's just for a minute, just for that flash. You see that.
I think, yeah, he takes those couple of steps back. And he's full on like looking at the jar of paint. In fear, as his like jaw starts mouthing something. You can see this realization of some kind has dawned on him. And he shakes his head and he says, was I?
Willow kind of leans forward just a little bit, kind of tilts her head. Well, you what?
He shakes his head like he doesn't even know what to conclude. A painter? And I think the words like sour in his mouth a bit. And there's just more shaking his head, like he's refusing something. And then I think he looks to the door.
Hylas. She just waits for Hylas to look at her. And the moment he does, she kind of like subtly motions through Michonne and block the door.
Oh my god!
Wow. Don't let him get away.
More like, we don't need two scared fucking rabbits bounding out of this party the same two we just are finding one.
Hey, Aang's not a rabbit. She's a predator animal.
She doesn't know that.
The rabbits actually got a wonderful show going on downstairs.
Yeah, the rabbit-coded characters are fine.
Yeah. They're living it up. Let them have this. You make that motion for Michonne to lock the doors, or door, I suppose. And there's like a full body shiver, I guess.
Well,
Very
just-
notably, Michonne will not stand in his way.
Well, just like, there's like a little arch of the brow when Michonne does not move. A little frown. And she looks towards Hylas and shakes her head. I didn't know what you're scared of, but you can talk to us about it.
I don't know either.
And she kind of leans forward a little bit more. You've traveled with Madigan, you've traveled with Angrod, traveled with witches. Traveled with, and she looks towards Michonne. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to define you. Looks back to Hylas. Are you at all concerned about any of them being different?
I think he eases up the tension in his body just slightly with those words. No, I'm not worried about them. About what they are, that's their...
So why are you concerned about you being a little different?
I think at this point, Michonne will speak up and... Well, with all due respect, if it's in the past, it's in the past.
I think there's just a very quiet, Hylas, like, placing a hand on his chest, as if he's, like, trying to ground himself, on top of, all this, like, mental confrontation he's doing. And he just says, I'm human.
Really quick, I'm going to give Michonne a hero point for the disagreement. I will give Hylas a hero point for being human. And I will give Willow a hero point for the good roleplay with Vincent and also this line of questioning.
I think I missed it. Did Hylas say something?
Yeah, he put his hand on his chest and said, very quietly, I'm human.
I think... Oh, go ahead.
No, did you need to insert something?
I wasn't going to answer something. I was going to say if no one had a response, I was going to fade camera out. But if you got something, go on.
Willow just kind of tilts her head a little bit. There's still this little bit of a frown and furrowed brow. I'm not concerned about his past if he's not. She says, kind of towards Michonne, but still looking at Hylas. I'm concerned about why you seem to be so scared.
And he looks up with that. That's a damn good question. And I think with that, he'll go, I don't know. I think he's going to make use of the boon that Michonne gave him, and he's not going to sprint out the door, but he kind of gives everybody a last, glance before just sort of briskly walking out.
You just hear, damn it. Will's not getting any sleep tonight.
No!
Michonne will watch Hylas leave and then turn to Willow. He shakes his head. You need more transference.
Willow just tilts her head. I honestly don't know what you mean. You see her already sighing and starting to get up and starting to okay.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be real.
As
I don't know
Hylas...
what you mean by that either.
I'm going to fade out unless you want to explain Hylas. Or not Hylas, Michonne.
Michonne won't, but I will type and see.
Okay. Hylas briskly storming off at the confrontation that Willow has presented him with. Michonne, in a way, defending Hylas. And
I'd call it enabling.
The tension here. Enabling, defending, but there's some conflict brewing. Not intense conflict, but some conflict. And as that happens, we swoop out and pan away from the interior of the Knight's Inn, as you guys are basically getting ready to go down for the evening and sleep. We will jump forward again a few hours in time towards the end and the middle of the night, slightly past the witching hour of darkness, with the now completely torn apart corpse of Lloyd Valentine in his burial tree with Ang Di standing over him. So Ang Di, as you are... Actually, hold on. I know I just said it was Ang Di, but I do need a check. From Madigan. I need you to make me a check.
Okay.
Or I need a perception check, and you do have advantage on this check.
Straight up advantage in Pathfinder 2e.
Yes.
Perception. How do I set advantage? Do I just roll twice?
That's probably the easiest way.
Yeah, just roll twice. I don't fucking know how to do it. I haven't messed with the interface very much. 23. That's pretty good.
That was a 19.
Okay, well, you got a 19. So on a 23, you are, if I remember correctly, you are still running through the woods here, or were you hiking? Were you like at a normal pace?
I think once she got out of, like, done with the climbing and whatever, she was taking more of a normal pace. I think she is taking the time to process what happened, knowing that the city is soon.
Okay. So you hike on for about an hour, about 2 hours as you are hiking onwards after you finished your climb. And as you are walking straight south, as you continue to march towards, you get a whiff in the air of two particular things. One familiar, well, actually both familiar. One is the scent of Ang. You can smell her very clearly. And the other smell is blood. And it is a very thick smell of blood.
Can I tell if it's Ang's blood?
Ang doesn't have blood as far as Ang knows.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Ang
right,
doesn't
right.
have blood.
Oh. Okay. Well, so much for a nice little jog, nice little walk. We're going to start running.
Okay. As you are running, Ang Di, what do you do after you finish desecrating what remains of this once human being?
I think she will, take her time, lick her fingers a little bit, realizes that she's like downwind, basically. I can't keep them straight, downwind and upwind, so I hope you understand which one I mean. And I think they're not too far from Ingrid's body, right?
Correct.
I think she's going to go over to Ingrid's body real quick. And I think she's going to root through it and see if she can find a notebook and a pen.
Sure. She has a hunter's notebook and pen, a journal.
I think she's going to try and write something. Hold on. Actually, can I be right back a second?
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
So Hylas is going downstairs to watch/dissociate at Paige's magic show. And Willow will follow down just to make sure he doesn't go anywhere crazy.
He definitely looks at the front door and then he's like, what's the encore of I'm not smart, but I'm not dumb.
think
Perfect.
if she is satisfied that he is not going anywhere, she will try to, like, catch Paige in Pierre's eyes and, like, motion for Hylas. It's like, keep an eye on him. And then she's gonna go crash with Abigail.
Okay.
But that man had walked through the door. Guess what? She's on, like, circuit number 5 of this fucking city.
Mm-hmm. Michonne heads over to Domains, which is not too far. It's a bit of a walk, but it's not far.
Fucking goddamn it.
You'll still have time to see parts of the show. Which we probably won't have time to do that tonight, but we will make note of that to do that next time. Eventually, this day will completely end. For sure.
Who's on Michonne watching duty? Or is it gonna have to be Willow still?
I mean, I think Anissa will go to the ballet.
Okay.
Is this the new duo? Michonne Nissa?
Let's go.
There's a rogue cleric joke somewhere here. I just don't know what it is.
Maybe we'll find it if you walk into a bar.
They're in a bar. Sorta.
Yo, we found it!
Shit, what's the joke?
Rogue and a cleric walk into a bar, and that's exactly what we needed.
Yeah.
The witches need a nap. Oh my god.
Hello, sorry about that.
Talk to Abigail
Wreck.
about donating blood in the morning.
My stomach picked a very inopportune time to cause me a tremendous amount of pain.
Oh no.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. So she's going to take just a second. This is a very hastily scrawled note. She's not spending more than like a minute on this, but she'll write out just need more time. -A. Leave it on the body.
Okay. Are you gonna leave it somewhere where it won't get blood on it?
Yeah, she'll leave it somewhere where it's legible.
Okay.
Then
So-
she will mosey on out.
Now I need to know, which direction are you heading?
Well, she's heading away from town. She doesn't want herself to be so easily tracked, I think. I don't think that's metagamey. I think she probably would be aware of that.
You are on the regional map.
Mm-hmm.
You would
Often.
be like right here.
I'm at 98%. I'll let you know when I get there.
Oh god.
Regional map, please. There we go. Okay.
There you go.
All right. So where am I?
You're right here.
Okay. I think she's gonna try and head. Let's see.
West is like sort of away from town because you are geographically close to it, but you are up beyond the mountainside where town is immediately accessible.
Mm-hmm. Which direction makes her hardest to track?
It would be this way. Running west takes you further into this part of the forest, which is like beyond the scope of anyone who wants to go anywhere outside the city.
Yeah, well, let's head west. Let's go in this direction then.
Okay, so you start heading west. So as you are heading west, you start running it takes you about 2-ish hours or so At this point, it is like 2:30, almost 3 a.m. It is pitch black outside, except for the little faint bit of moonlight and stars that you can see as you are dashing through the woods. And as you are going through the woods, Aang, D, you don't have to roll for this because as you are going through, you know the sound of movement in the underbrush. And if a creature is not trying to be stealthy, you can pinpoint it immediately. And you hear the cracking and shuffling of something running through the underbrush or through the forest in some way. Are you going to see what it is, or are you going to completely ignore it?
I think she's gonna ignore it. And if anything, just pick up the pace.
Okay. So you keep going and rushing further away. Then hold. Maddie, as you are rushing through the forest here, the trail that you're following is veering in a different direction than you need to go. You know which way is south. You know the direction you need to go according to your trajectory. But the trail is veering in a different direction. It's going across you. You'd have to change course to follow it. But you're close.
I would know how to get back to the city, though. Or, like, if I started following this then, correct? South?
You would know, at least for now, you would know which direction the city must be in if you were following that trail. But if that trail starts to weave itself in different directions, you might lose where you're at.
Yeah, okay. I'll follow the trail for now. Since I was already kind of going towards it anyways.
Okay. You don't know how far along this way the trail is, but you start following the trail and go deeper into the woods. Supposedly following something that smells like Aang and has a wafting scent of blood attached to it. And Aang D is sprinting off into the woods, deeper and deeper into uncharted territory. And we'll figure out what happens to them next time. Hope you all had fun.
Oh boy.
I did. Thank you.
Thank you for running.
Thank you.
Thank you for running.
Thank you for coming.